Welcome back to the channel. I wasn't going to do anything with this, but I think I'll throw it out there because there's a million small engine repair deals out there, and they're kind of all the same, but let me show you my experience. This is a Troy-built Super Bronco. It's about 10 years old. We got it at Lowe's, and we use it for our home garden. The thing gets left out in the rain, and the hazard of leaving it out in the rain is, believe it or not, the moisture will find its way through the cap. Yep, the moisture gets into the cap tank. Now, we always run a non-ethanol fuel, even though the cap says maximum 10% ethanol. You can get away with ethanol, especially if you run an additive, but you really should run a non-ethanol fuel. The ethanol can cause a host of problems for you, and it's just going to run better and be more powerful, and just pay the extra 40 cents a gallon. You're not using that much fuel. So let me show you, if I can, if you can see the inside of this tank. This was still running, so yeah, that's the inside of the tank. I didn't let it dry. I should have let it dry. A good way to clean it, that they don't tell you, is take your cleaning vinegar, okay, mix it with about a quarter cup of salt, and then just pour it in there, and then just let her set. Let her set for a couple of days. You can come back and agitate it. You got to have the outlet plugged, and don't get this on your hands, folks, because it is sulfuric acid. Yes, when you mix salt with vinegar, it creates sulfuric acid. On the outlet from the tank, that's where your filter is. That little tiny thing. I know I got a close-up, but yeah, that's your filter. So that can become blocked even with water. Water should not go through there easily. The debris from the tank will block that and slow your flow. And don't remove it, just kind of clean it. Okay, use your carburetor cleaner. I have a bad hose here. That's not a big deal. Okay, so if you see that broke for the ventilation, not a real big deal. Okay. And then the carburetor, because I have this stuff, I like to keep this around. This is good stuff. There is a Berryman product like this too, but Gunk is the old one that I know. And these cans, they just last forever. You can hook them, pour them in an ultrasonic cleaner. Like apparently everybody knows the musty guy. But this has been soaking for about an hour. Okay, and I just want to show you this. So yeah, and that was still running. That was still running. And again, this is from leaving the machine out in the rain, letting the water get in the carburetor or in the fuel tank. So now I don't think the Gunk is going to remove the rust. This carburetor cleaner product only removes the gum and sludge that builds up. So that rust on the bottom, I'm going to have to mechanically remove. It's not a real big deal because unless it becomes loose in there, it's not going to plug anything up. So if I remove the scaliest, worst stuff, I should be in good shape. So I'm going to go take the fuel tank and try and hit the inside with a pressure washer, and I'll show you what happens. So yeah, so this was the first rinse out right there. This is what I'm doing. I got my turbo out. Yeah, so this is what the float bowl looks like after I cleaned the gunk out. I rinsed it with just a garden hose. And then I took my pocket knife and scraped out the rust. Okay. As an extra measure, I'm going to throw I've got a jewelry cleaner I got at it was in a box lot at an auction. I didn't actually buy it. Now, this part actually goes down in there. That hole is where the fuel goes in. So you've got that distance, if that makes sense. There's my fat thumb. You've got this distance, which is about 1/2 inch. And that's to allow for contaminants to be in the bottom. Once the water and debris and stuff gets above that. Now, don't forget it's vibrating and upset, and you're lifting it up and down, so you can slurry the stuff around. But if there's water in there, it kind of forms its own interface between the water and gasoline. So the debris is going to kind of tend to stay in the water, if that makes sense. If there is water in there. Otherwise, you're just relying on the weight of the debris. So let's get this in the jewelry cleaner and see what happens. So here's my ultrasonic cleaner, which, like I say, have nothing into it. It was in a box of things I got at an auction. I was buying the other stuff, so the way I look at it, I have nothing in it. And this is the cleaner that actually came with it. So it says makes 1/2 gallon. So we can do it this way, I guess. We'll just pour that amount in there. We'll put that in there. That's about a 50-50 mix. We'll put this in here for the rinse. I'll set that aside. I'll set my bowl in here. And I'll turn it on. So now we have it operating. This is an old pipe stand I have outside my garage here, so it's not quite level. Hopefully it won't walk away. And let's cover it up. And we'll just let that go for 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, this is the float and the float needle. So it's a little grungy. I'm going to drop it right in that bowl as it cleans. So this can get cleaned up a little bit too. I don't think it really matters, but just because I'm doing it. So there, after about 5 minutes, I switched it over from the cleaning concentration to the rinse portion. Now let it go like that for just a minute or so. So this is how it came out of the ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, not a whole lot cleaner. It has its own little brush with the cleaner, so I'm going to agitate it a little bit and see if anything comes off. So you can see agitating it with this little brush got some more stuff off it. I want to just take more time. I just sit this in a bowl of that vinegar and salt solution, let it sit overnight at least, even 2 or 3 days, and it should just take right care of that rust and get it right out of there. What do you say, guys? Huh? What do you say? These are my barn swallows. They've been living in here for years. I leave the door cracked. They come in here and nest. It's a little messy. I put a pan below it to catch the poop. They spend about 12 weeks here for mating and raising their young. They have 2 or 3 broods. And then they fly back to wherever. They may go to Mexico, Guatemala, but I used to hate them, but because they're messy. And people tell me, oh, get purple martins put up in the thing. Well, they eat bugs, and they sing a lot, and they fly to Mexico and they come back here every year. So I guess I can't fault them. And take your compressed air. You can't put a price on availability of compressed air. Now another option that you can do is cut that shop rag up into little tiny pieces. But when you're done, you just have to make sure you get all the pieces out. But this usually is pretty suitable. I don't like those cheap nozzles. They don't have as much air volume as I'd like to see. But see, that pulled some of that out, most of it. Okay, there we go. That gives you a little... So, it looks rusty, but it doesn't look crusty, if that makes any sense. Now, if you soak this in vinegar for a couple of days, most of that will just rinse out, but I'm not going to do that. Here's my fuel filter. I gave it a quick, probably ineffective soak in the salt and vinegar solution. Again, like I say, you should let it sit overnight at best, even a couple of days can clean it well. Sometimes if you let metal sit too long, it can actually start on the metal, but a day or two is not bad. I've got a pair of dikes sitting in a solution right now, and it's going on day 3. So yeah, so another thing that happens too is sometimes this hose degrades. So even though the fuel cap says you can run up to 10% ethanol, the hose that goes from the gas tank to the carburetor can degrade from the ethanol over time. It may not happen right away, and then that needs to be replaced. So if you're running regular gas with non-ethanol gas, right now it's like 50 cents a gallon more, maybe not, maybe 40 cents more. So it's well worth it for the peace of mind. If you work on it yourself, yeah, but who needs it failing in an opportune time? So with regular gas, these will just last forever. So let's put it all back together and let's see how it runs. Okay, we're going to blow out the carburetor. When blowing things out with the compressed air, you want to go in the opposite direction of the fluid flow, if at all possible. So you would want to try to get into here to the main jet first. Of course, your air bleed, you probably can't get to the other side of that, but you can do that first. As far as the main jet down in there, I wouldn't monkey with it. This thing was running okay. It was just getting a sporadic shut off due to probably just debris, either debris blocking this hole or the filter coming out of the tank being blocked with debris. So yeah, this can go together too now. So we'll get it all together and see how it runs. I'm just reusing the old gasket that's on there. I always have. You can put a new one on. That Terrell character, he's pretty good about telling you how to use the wrong gasket and what happens. But you can see some funny things going on. So this passage up here, there's a vent right here for some reason in the gasket. So that should all be clear. There's a vent to the air for that. I'm guessing that's probably the bowl, the vent for the bowl, because we can see, if you look down right here. That's right above it, so I'm guessing that's where the bowl vent is. And it shrouds it very well so it doesn't get debris in it. And make sure those little spiders are not filling it with mud. Okay, and then we will just throw it back on. When putting it together, it should be obvious as you go that you may have to hook things up because you took it apart. So hook them up as you go, because if this pushes all the way in, you can't hook this up. So put this rod in there, like that. And then it can lock in that way. And then your spring in turn goes and I bent it a little bit, disassembling it, so we'll get it back a little bit there. Like that. There. Make sure we're all good. Okay. Going from there. Fuel line. Okay, so if you're getting a lot of oil buildup in here, it can be three causes. One, you could have a bad air filter causing a suction here. Two, you could need an oil change. Your oil could be too thin, allowing blow-by. It could just be plain worn out oil. And the final one is just a plain worn out engine, in which case combustion gases are going by the rings. They have to go somewhere, and that's your engine vent. So it would be carrying oil along with it. And the more gases that are going through there, the more oil they'll carry with them. They should separate out from gravity through the motion. But like I say, though, a little oil residue is going to be normal. So let's get this buttoned up, put fuel in it, and let's see how it goes. So if your rototiller is stalling and not starting, and it's pretty old, just take it apart and clean out the fuel system at a cost of $0 and put it back together, and you've got a good running rototiller. So that's the way I do it. Thanks for watching.